As a young Australian travelling the world and finally settling down in Batumi, Georgia, people always ask me, how much does it actually cost to live in Georgia? After burning out on short stay nomad life, I finally decided to settle down here in Batumi. My monthly expenses are locked in, lean and focused. In this video, I'll show you exactly what it costs to live in Batumi in 2026, rent, food, gym, entertainment, no fluff, just raw numbers. And if you're thinking about making the move to Georgia, then hopefully this video might help you see the edge. So before slowing down in Batumi, my life was constant movement and a little bit chaotic. Bali, Dubai, Bangkok, I was flying around, traveling, living in all these places, but flights, visas, and short-term stays were starting to stack up on the bank account, and I can safely say that freedom felt expensive, and burnout kind of hits hard when you're moving so fast. But then when I settled down in Batumi, I could finally track and control everything, build a good routine, settle into a good gym, get the diet right, and actually get back into the swing that I was kind of lacking when I was moving around so fast. Now that I've settled in, I'm running lean and everything is working properly, I feel that I can finally give you guys the full breakdown on the expenses. So we're going to go category by category. This is not just what I'm spending, but more of a balanced summary of the expenses that I'm seeing, what the costs are like, and what might work for somebody coming here and settling in Batumi for the first time. So with that being said, let's get into the real numbers. And the first thing I want to cover is going to be the rent. So I've got my little booklet here. This has got all of the numbers that I think are going to be useful for you guys. And I've gone ahead and put down a 1-bedroom rent at $350 per month. This is all in USD. Now, it's notable that you can take a studio here for around 250 USD per month, a 1-bedroom for around 350, and a 2-bedroom for around 600. So we're going to land right in the middle and go with the 350 1-bedroom for the expense report here. Now, number 2 kind of builds on top of that, but I wanted to mention it anyway, and that is going to be the utilities that come with your apartment and also things like your SIM card. So for that, we've put around $40 per month. That should cover, your data, calls and text, also your water, power, and things in your apartment, because most apartments here, you will pay that separately. So for that, you're looking at around $40 per month, again, in USD. Now, the next one is section 3, and that is gym and health. Now, that can vary a little bit from person to person, depending on if you take supplements, creatine, protein powder, things like this. You might like vitamins. I find living here in Batumi that vitamin D3 is a must for me because the sunlight can get a little bit rough in the winter time and you probably don't get much vitamin D. So it's going to depend entirely on you. But the cost that I've got here is $60 per month. That is for a gym membership and also, some basic supplements. You might take protein powder and creatine, like I said. That's going to vary depending on yourself, but the gyms here are much cheaper than places I've lived before, like Bali and Dubai. You can get a good gym membership for probably, $30 to $40 per month, and then you've got a little bit of extra cash there for supplements. So there you go for gym and health. We're looking at about $60 per month. Now, the next one I've put in here as a little bit of a buffer, and that is transport. To be honest, you probably don't need to spend any money on transport if you don't want to. This whole city is walkable. Depending on where you're going, what time, and the weather, you really don't need to go far with transport. But I've put aside $30 per month just for transport. That is going to absolutely be more than enough. If you're catching bolts, maybe a few times a week, getting around the city, then $30 per month is going to be more than enough for transport if you are just catching the occasional bolt and walking most places, which pretty much everybody here does, because the city is small and walkable, so it's very easy to get around. Of course, if it's raining, you want to go to the mall, you want to go to a restaurant, then that might be a different story. Now, that goes on to the next category I've got here. That category is entertainment. So when I say entertainment, I've kind of put aside a budget here for, say, 2 nice dinners per week for you to go out and, do your thing. Go out for a nice dinner. You might go to a show, you might go to the theater, you might go to the mall, whatever it might be. I've kind of accounted for, say, 2 outings per week. And I've said about $150 per month, again in USD. That is more than enough for a few nice meals and some basic entertainment. I'm a little bit boring. I like to say I live more like a grandpa and I'm usually shacked up here working at this desk. But even then, sometimes I will go down to a casino. I might go out to a restaurant. There are so many nice restaurants here in Batumi. So you definitely want to put aside this little bit of money just to go out and enjoy yourself from time to time. But I think that that's more than enough, $150 per month for that, and that will keep you covered. Now, the next thing is a big one, and this is kind of the last main point that I want to put in here is going to be groceries, and I've put aside $300 per month for groceries. That is more than enough in my opinion. Now, it's worth noting that my groceries are probably a little bit more boring than many people. I'm a chicken, rice, toast, and eggs kind of guy. But if you're going, spices, vegetables, and all the other stuff that most normal people get that I don't, then I think this is actually enough. I would probably spend less than this, but $300 per month I would say is more than enough for all your groceries, and that includes, you might get things like toilet paper, wipes for your windows and mirrors, and spray bottles, soaps, that sort of thing. That kind of covers everything, including your basics and hygiene and all that sort of stuff. So $300 per month on groceries, and that kind of covers the list, giving us a grand total for your essentials at $930 USD per month. Let me know what you think of this in the comments, but in my opinion, this is more than enough to live at a pretty basic level with entertainment. You've got transport, good gym, some supplements, and groceries. In my opinion, this is more than enough for a nomad to settle in and live on a month-to-month basis. Of course, if you're going out to cafes every day and you're getting lunch out and you're getting dinner out every day, this is going to stack up a little bit more, but this is what I would say is a reasonable amount to be spending in Batumi in 2026. So very, very affordable. There's one more thing that I've added here, and this is relevant to me. It might be relevant to some of you guys. I've also included the first link in the description, which is a flip book with some details about this. And this is buying property here, which is what I'm doing, buying a unit off plan. Now, I've gone ahead and put in a repayment for an opportunity that we're looking at the moment, which is available to the public very soon, and that is an additional $670 per month. Now, that is a studio apartment in a development coming here and being started now, built over 5 years. So if you were to pay that off over 5 years with no interest with a developer, you'd pay an extra $670 per month. This is less than what I'm paying now in repayments because our units are almost finished, and this is, like I said, one studio further down the line. But with that, you would be looking at 1,600 USD per month. So this, in my opinion, is a great way to hedge your spending in Batumi, because you're spending a lot less on your rent than you are on your repayments for your own place, and the property values are pumping here fast. So this is what I'm doing. I'm spending a lot more on my own repayments than I am on my rent, and that way it's going back into the asset which I own and get the capital gains on. So like I said, this is not a property investment advice video, but I have put a link in the description with some details about that because you guys found this flipbook very useful in the last video. So there's my grand total. With no investment, you're looking at around 930 USD per month. And with a repayment schedule on a studio apartment over 5 years, you're looking at 1,600 USD per month. So very, very affordable. Like I said, that's living good, probably better than I do, because like I said, I'm out here eating chicken and rice for most of my meals and staying pretty locked in. I do spend a little bit more in the supplement category with the health, but I think this kind of balances out. So guys, let me know what you think of this cost of living breakdown. I hope I've covered everything. I have some more cost of living breakdowns coming of other cities around the world that I've lived in. So go ahead and leave a comment if there's anything you think I've missed. I've kind of just put in, the basics, the things that I spend my money on. But to be honest, like I said, I'm a bit of a grandpa. I don't go far and I don't, do much. So I hope that this will cover everything that you guys want to see. I appreciate you sticking through the video, and I hope that these numbers have been helpful. And I also hope that that flipbook in the description for free is helpful for you too. Guys, leave a comment if you have any more questions. If there's ever anything I can help with, I always try my best in the comments to give the best advice I can. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, where I will show you a little bit more about the opportunity here in Batumi.